So welcome back, guys. Pete's been this morning, he's here at 7. He's done a little bit more on the dash. We've sort of energized it, and he's going through just checking circuits and what's working and what's not, and how we can get things going. So we're good. I can actually put the dash together now. That the stuff he needs to access he can do from underneath and through the stereo. I'm not putting a stereo in at the moment, so we'll just leave that out for the moment. But yeah, things like your dashboard lights, your dimmer switch, everything works. The fan for the AC. I've turned my attention to this back taillight section. Now, as you can see, these are this pressed steel here, because it was complete. All of that steel was completely missing all the way along the back there. I had no idea what the profile was, so I just got what I assumed, using a little bit of, that profile there, which remained, so I sort of continued that profile through. I didn't know anything about that shape there, and the thing at the bottom. So, but this is a spare one I've had. This one was also a little cracked here and there. It's got a couple of little cracks. One of the things that is missing is one of these bolt tabs. The bolt tab down the bottom has broken away and missing. So I'll put blue, you can see the blue masking tape. That piece of plastic is missing. So I've just taped it up and from underneath, and I'm going to pour epoxy into it and fill her up. And then we just have to touch it up with colour after that. So yeah, so I'll let you know how we get on with that. But all in all, it's pretty good. There's a corner missing there, which I actually have, so I'll glue that back in. Yeah, hopefully this works a treat. There's a lot of little pitting. Look, as chrome deteriorates, it gets all those little pit marks in it, but this Dremel with that foam, that woolen pad, gets it all off and polishes it up beautifully. So that's the repair I did at the top. So it's nice. It's all it's full of clear. That won't leak. I should technically. That's clear epoxy glue. So just increase the hole size for the bolts that come through the back of this, and that's really helped it. They could have been slightly in the wrong position, and that's caused a bit of, let's say, aggravation with the, oh, I've got one on there already. That's caused a bit of aggravation with the fit, and now I'm just going to do these up just past finger tight, really. A little bit loose. What I'll do is I'll fit the tail lights now. good. So all brand new globes in there. Now all the tail lights work, we've tested them this morning. Indicators, I believe, work as well. Wasn't present for that test, but I think Pete tested them. Looks pretty good. Close up there you can see the brake. There's a couple of brakes. Didn't really want to, but I did. I just picked up a pair of these new side indicators. The ZG has the red light in the bottom. That's been blanked off with a rubber grommet. But yeah, the ZF only has the indicator light, not the rear tail light. They fit really well. Excellent. So they fit really, really well. They're bloody beautiful. It's incredible. It's a nice even gap around them. They just feel great. They feel great in there. They look great. Nice sharp sort of rebate line. So I've had to take these out of the ZG because I'm missing, I've got those, they're screwed into the car and painted, but I'm missing the receptacles, which is so annoying. I mean, I'm really, really anal with that stuff, you know. And so I've had to steal them out of the ZG. They might show up, but who knows where they all are. I've got everything, I've gone through everything, but they're just missing. So anyways, yeah, so quite strange. I'm missing a lot of parts, which I have no idea where they are. So I've needed to grab those from the ZG, and I'll pop them with new globes into the car. So because I've painted those, there's paint on the inside there I want to just sand off, just to get us a good earth. Fresh globe in there. We tested these this morning, or we tested the circuit, but just give that a test. Excellent. This will be the hardest part to fit actually. It's because it's been recovered and it's got extra fabric on it. It's not going to be easy. Yeah, so there's a surplus or a build-up of fabric which is going to really give me a hard time. Pretty sure. Come on. That's it. Oh my god, that was going to be the hardest one to get in. Oh my god. Beautiful. Beautiful. Righto, so the dash is in. It's looking really, really good. Still got a few wires to sort out, but Pete's going to help me with that. We've tested a lot of the controls and switches, and they all seem to be working nicely. But yeah, she's come up really good. So I'm sort of at the point now where I'm looking at doing the steering column, and I've also got to do the T-bar auto change setup and run power to the light. Pete calls it, I can't remember what Pete calls it, but yeah, so run a bit of a little loom down to the illumination of the auto position. And so yeah, we're on to, I've just so I had to put the handbrake in, which is good. Handbrake's all in there. Blanked off that the clutch, the slave cylinder for the clutch. Blanked that off. And what else have I done? Yeah, so I've got the glove box in. That's all adjusted as best as I can. Yeah, so there is a little bit of a gap. Sunlight's no good. It looks really smart. It's, you know, the way I did the, I've got fingerprints all over it. So, yeah, so that section there is black. Well, it's actually a really, really dark brown, but it suits perfectly. It's black to match the dash. Heater box. Oh, she's looking good. But now I'm onto the steering columns. Now this is the one that I've restored. This is the original one out of the car. Column auto. So it's got this little arm here to do the shift. And the ignition, all the keys match everything. Now this is the one out of the ZG. If you notice, these are the horn functions, the horn actuators, indicators of course. But on the ZG, the horn is on the end of the stalk, which I really, really prefer. And of course the indicators all function as they should. Oh, that plastic bezel slides down there and turns them off. So, different steering wheels. There's a hell of a lot more. I've got heaps of steering wheels. There's a hell of a lot more steering wheel options that I have for that arrangement. So that basically the steering wheel's its own. The steering wheel is just the steering wheel. Was the steering wheel on this column? There's like a groove or a channel around the inside of the steering wheel for these things to sit in, and then you push the horn on the steering. Oh, they're a mongrel, and none of the steering wheels look any good. The steering wheels, I've got a lot better steering wheel options for this, for the XB ZG type arrangement. Problem is, okay, the ignition plugs are identical. They're all both the same. So I'll use this ignition out of this car, out of the original ZF. I'll transfer that because it's a lot cleaner than that. So the ignition's no problems. The only difference is the horn/indicator type plug is quite radically different. It's a totally different plug. Now there's 9 pins, and there's 9 pins in this as well, and I assume that the colours, all the wire colours will be the same, so I'm going to have to try and put this plug onto this strap. That's going to be a lot of fun because I don't know and don't like electrics at all. So anyway, so that's where we are at the minute. Righto, here's just a quick demo of how to take an ignition out. The plastic cover can't come off with the ignition in. So you've got to take the ignition out. There's 2 screws on this plastic cover. There's one on the top and one on the bottom. So you're going to take the bottom one out. In there's a pin underneath that. In the screw hole there's a pin. Now I think you actually have to get the the ignition's in lock at the moment, so let's start. Okay, so that's off. Start off. I think you have to have it in the off position. Now there's a pin in there. I'm just using a spike or a punch. So let's start off. Here we go. Yeah. So I think it's in the off position. But so that pin, as you can see, as you rotate the key, that pin jumps up. So in most positions, there in that position, which I think is the off position, the pin is flush. But as soon as you start turning the key, it jumps up. So into normal operating positions, that pin is up. But then in the off position, I'm pretty sure that's the off position, that pin drops in. And then you can quite happily remove this cover. So the top screw comes out now. And hey presto, it comes off. Okay, so that's the ZG/XB steering column with its horn and indicator and high beam and low beam on the stalk. This is the original column out of the ZF. It's an XA ZF, and it's got the horn thingy bobs here, the actuators. It's got a little bezel, a little light there for the bezel indicator up there, which I'm actually going to go with this steering column. I'm going to eliminate this gear change selector there. That slides into the tube. I'm also going to do what I did. I did this on the XW. Look, the whole reason why I want to retain this column is for that plug and the wiring. I just don't want the headaches of swapping plugs, and you know they might a lot of comments on Facebook. They weren't loyal to the colours. They did chop and change the colours here and there. So I know that this plug works, and it powers everything thanks to Pete. Whereas if I start chopping plugs off and soldering, and you know the wires might be the same color but they could be feeding something different, so just I don't want that headache, and I can't ask Pete to go through and rewire these things and check this. He's done so much for me already. So yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this honeypot here over to an automatic one, sorry, a floor change one, which means I'm going to grind off that housing, get rid of that pin, the indicator pin, and get rid of this, and I'm going to use a product called glass fiber filler, and then just do a bog repair over that. This is like fiberglass, and then just do a bog repair over that, and then paint them. Yeah, so it's a little bit of extra work. I thought I'd finished with this. Oh, the other thing I did too, I bought a new lock set for the front doors, and so I've got a brand new key, new ignition, and it's nice and tight. So that's sweet. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that XB/ZG steering column and revert back to this ZF one. Yeah, and look, the other thing is too, guys, the only reason why I wanted to use the ZG's steering column was because it had a lovely steering wheel, like a really, really nice one. Had a few cracks in it, but they're easily repaired, but the actual center pad was perfect. Everything was really nice about it. And honestly, the horn setup for the ZF is bad. It's shit, and I've got 4 or 5 steering wheels, and all of the horn pads are wrecked, and you know, beyond repair. So I'm going to have to put my hand in my pocket and buy an XA GT rim blow, so that the horn function's still going to work properly. And that will get me through. That's where the shift indicator used to sit, right in there. So we're getting rid of that. We're going to fill all of that with fiberglass. I've just hot melt glued a piece of plastic just over the back to stop it sort of falling through into areas where we don't want it to be. It can be quite thick there, and I've got to reform that lip. Once I'll probably do that in a day or two once it's hard and dried up. The honey pot's heaps easier to do. All I've got to do is put a piece of tape on the inside there and a piece of tape on the inside there. And so I've cut that collar off there and just ground it up and smoothed her out, flattened her off. And yeah, so I'll just fill it with fiberglass, that piece there with fiberglass, and we're good to go. Okay, so I just want to show you just quickly what I'm doing here. So I'll fiberglass that up. That's the hole for the shifter. That's the viewing gear selector, and that's the needle. So it's a little bit rough on that inside edge there, but it doesn't matter. It's as strong as hell. It's a lot stronger than the XW one that I did. Now, I had to cut that shape into there. It's like a lip, a recessed lip. So I've cut that in there. And I'm not even fussed that it's a little bit untidy, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this up in its finished position. Oops. Okay, which is that. So, because that's the shift indicator, and that's the little needle, the pointing needle. I'm just going to sit it like that, and I'm just going to bog the whole thing over. So just bog them together, and then I'm just going to sand it back. Sand the whole thing back until it separates. So I'll let you know how I get on. A good idea. And it's because the fiberglass was a little bit patchy. I've got a hole there. So the a layer of bog over everything's just going to smooth it all out beautifully. So yeah, I'm real happy. So that's a bit high still. That's a bit high, but I'll sand that off, and it'll turn out beautifully. So I've got to sand a fair bit more filler off the top part, and try and expose a fair amount of that seam, and then I can run a blade around there and separate the two pieces. Beautiful. Look at that. So because there was bare aluminium on this, I've used an etch primer. I was going to use a 2K primer, but that etch primer is compatible with the 2K paint that I'm going to be using, so that's where it'll get its strength. Got a little present. Sort of an early birthday present to myself. It's a rim blow XA GT steering wheel, brand new, not a restored one. It's bloody nice. I had to put another coat of primer on the honey pot and the both parts of the honey pot. Just had to put another coat of primer on. The reason is I might as well, because I want a really nice finish, because it's right nice shot. But I don't want to paint, I don't want to spray black inside the shed because of the car. I don't want overspray going on the car, and I can't be bothered covering it up, even though we've got a lot of dust, and yeah, that's only dust. And we're getting close to the point where the center console needs to be looked at. So here's the hump that I took out of the ZG. It needed a really, really good wire brush, so I hit it with the Widowmaker. And got all of the old paint and whatnot off, and crud even underneath where the sealant goes around, so it's all nice and clean. And I'll paint that black, and the job will be done. But so I don't want to spray, it's dark outside now, so I don't want to spray black inside here, don't want to get it on the car. So I'll have to wait for the weekend for these, which will make Katrina happy. She's sitting up inside just waiting for me to come on up. What a woman. I love you baby, if you're watching this. Indicator stalk. Well, I got it back together. Jeez, they're not easy. They take absolute memory. And it was only a couple of days ago that I put them apart. But we had a little bit of experience with them, so that's XA, brand new ignition, which is great. That little pin, I don't know if you can see that pin, there's a pin there. That pin marries up with a slot in the steering wheel. That slot there. So that those two slots are if you've got an XB and you need to run the horn wires out. But there, that's that slot there. That has to marry up with that pin, and then it'll be in the correct location. Okay, it's confession time. This rubber seal around the steering column is directional. It looked pretty straightforward, standard type fit for me, but I realize it's actually the holes have slightly different locations. The top and the bottom hole don't line up on that bottom hole there. I don't know. Might have to cut it and flip it. And because the steering column is totally assembled now, it's not an easy job to pull it all apart because I've got it roughed in. And it's not an easy job because there's a little circlip inside here which is a real mongrel to get out. It's a circlip that holds the bearing in place. It's a real mongrel and it's not healthy. I didn't give it the love and treatment that it deserved when I took it out. So it's not a healthy thing, and oh fuck. So I'm going to have to put a cut through the rubber boot and flip it. I'll put it so the cut is on the bottom edge so you don't see it from the engine bay. But yeah, what a pain. I didn't even think. Incredible what you decide to keep from different cars. Like I've only ever built Fords, but this piece here, okay, that is from the firewall for the steering column. There's 4 of these required, and then 3 like sort of tech screws. Now I only had one of these at that size and one which was slightly smaller. Now these are designed to have a lot of movement in them to be able to slide around and position on top of the bracket, because the holes in the bracket are pretty large. So this locks the bracket into place. Now I had one of those and one slightly smaller out of the car when I took it apart and sent them off to the to the guys that do the gold zinc, and I thought, bloody hell, I didn't want to just put one in, and you know, so this little pile which I've been keeping in this coffee container is just bits from the old car. I sent most of them away, you know, just different clips, you know, door springs, heater hoses, you know, the firewall clamps and stuff, just stuff that I've, you know, collected. Now I've done it the same with all the nuts and bolts. So I only had one of those, okay. I found 3. The 3 I need. It's always handy, once you finish a car, is to clean up all the old nuts and bolts and stuff and send them off, get them anodized, and they're there for spares. So I've got the 4 I need. go. Chrome's a bit dodgy on this, but let's just Google it and see if you can buy them. There's plenty of these available, but none of those. Okay, so I'm just going to polish that up, see how it comes up, and that as well. Come up alright. Still got a few pits in it. I've drilled, I don't know if you can see this hole here, there's a large hole there which is on the inside of the cover. Well, I haven't drilled through that of course, but that's where water is going to collect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put seam sealer all the way around there and screw this on, and then from underneath I'm going to, once the seam sealer is all hardened or gone off, I'm going to brush inside there with POR 15 to just protect that edge because it's a raw edge, and these holes here. And the POR 15 is going to run out these holes. Now, if water splashes up underneath here into this cavity, I want that water to get away. So that hole, those two large holes there, will, that's the lowest point. Water will congregate there, but it'll be flooded in POR 15, and those holes will be opened. Yeah, so I just don't want water sitting in here and creeping underneath the bloody seam sealer if there's a gap in the seam sealer and making the carpet wet. This hump I painted the other night in 2-pack, the 2K black. The change, the shifter housing, I just rattle canned with black, so it's not a very good paint. Well, it's the best, well, one of the better ones. It's Dulux, so it's quite a good little paint. Quite like it. I need to have a good clean up in this shed because my goodness, it's everything's upside down and all over the place. So these bushes, one on each side. Nothing wrong with those nylon bushes there. It's one that's just decided to work its way out. So it's got to be park. Ah, that's the front. Yeah, no, it does go. So it's the front of the car. That's park. So just put an outline of where it sits. I'm going to brush seam sealer up to that line. In fact, I might put some masking tape around it so I can go right up to the line. It's called brush on, but I technically smear it on. Apply liberally. That'll do it. Don't want to do them up with the battery drill because what happens is it just over tightens them. So I'm just going to paint inside as best I can around that that seam or that intersection from the inside with POR 15. Just going to flood it because there's a raw edge here and I don't want that to rust away. There's metal there. And also what it'll do, it'll prove the actual seal between the hump and the actual tunnel, floor tunnel. It'll just prove that. That's what we want to see. I've drilled a hole there and I've drilled a hole there so water can escape. Yeah, I don't think I can reach all the way up in there. We'll get up as far as we can. It's mainly this raw edge because I just cut it with the grinder. And these screw holes I might as well do as well because they're just screwed just straight through the steel. Beautiful. Never to rust again. Port City Engines have kindly sold me, oh, that's the billet distributor holding clamp. Couple of stickers. Yeah, there's 2 coils. Leads. It's a dizzy. Set up for my cam. Jeez, it's really smart looking gear. And this will be the black box, I believe. Yeah, so we've got to find a mounting place for this. I think he's somewhere under the dash or in one of the kickers, underneath one of the kicker panels in the floor well. So I'm back to cutting and polishing. I've been back onto the cutting and polishing now for part of yesterday and all day today, and it's just coming up amazing. It's a lot of work. It's a big job. Yeah, the reason why I want to get the car totally cut and polished now, before I start putting any more weight into it, it's so easy to cut, as you can see, it's so easy to cut and polish a car while it's in the rotisserie, and I can't put any more weight into the car, otherwise the rotisserie will just... So it's been a really interesting process cutting and polishing this car. I've got it, it's bloody good, it's really, really good, but there's still the odd thing that, you know, I'm struggling with, but it's, look, it's as good as anything that comes out of a paint shop and done in this shed, painted and polished in this shed. But I've got, I don't know if you can see here, there's a little, I've dulled this area down. We're still glossy there. But this area here, there was just a couple of sort of, you know, maybe 1500 type scratches that were running up and down from, obviously from when I was blocking it. And so what I've done, I've used the 3000 grit, these 3000 grit foam pads. Well, here's a 2000 grit. That's a 2000 grit foam pad. They're about $7 each, they're really expensive. So what I've done, virtually like a guide coat, and I've found this to be quite successful right the way across the body. If there's an area where there's sort of a reasonably, sort of, you know, a scratch that will definitely polish out, what I do, I sort of pick the area and I hit it with the 3000 and it just dulls it, and it puts little tiny pigtails in, and they polish out really easily. So what I'm doing, and also it just removes a minuscule amount of paint to get those scratches out. But what it does, it allows me to polish and focus on that area where the scratches were. So it's dulled down now with tiny little pigtails. You won't be able to see them in the camera, I'm sure. But and yes, I'll focus on polishing. Yeah, I can see one of the scratches running up there. So I'll focus on polishing that area. Everything else is really good. Yeah, once I polish those pigtails out, that generally gets the scratch out as well. So it's more of a guide coat. It's quite strange, you know, like, you know, when you're spraying guide coat over primer and whatnot. So it's very similar. But yeah, she's looking good. It's dirty as hell because it's got, like, you know, splatter all over it, but man, it's good. Pretty good, but I might there's just a slight bit of haziness in that area still, so one more quick polish and we'll be good to go. One more quick cut. I've bought two of these Velcro pads. They're really good. They clog up a bit, but every time I use it, I just loosen it all up. And I rotate them, so I wash one each night. Sometimes I go through 2 or 3 rotations during the day. They both start dry in the morning. They both start dry and clean. And, yeah, so I just fluff it all up again. And before I do anything, I just put a couple. Yeah, just fluff it up a little bit like that. Put a few dabs on. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm using this 3D premium rubbing compound. This is step 1. This is really good. It just makes it's so much better than that other rubbish I was buying from that other store in Seaford. Smear. Voila. Perfect. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know when it's spot on, when you can see I can see the reflection of the halogen lights, and it's just crisp like glass. And that's just cut. Now I've still got to do a swirl removal polish and a polish, but that's just mint as it is. It's Monday the 10th of September 2023. I know, looking at the car, it looks the same, haven't touched it. Well, I have touched it intimately. Today's a milestone, really. The paint is now totally finished, cut and polished. There's a couple of little spots which I can't get to because of because it's in the rotisserie, and once I get it out into the real light, I'll probably pick up a few bits and pieces that I've missed. But it's bloody good. It's, I'd say, 95% perfect.